Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Welcome to episode 369 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast, where tonight's main subject is going to be about why I am nuking my social media accounts. Now, I just want to get straight off the bat, straight out of the way, because I think some people have maybe misinterpreted what this is. This is not me canceling the channel. The channel's not going anywhere, so that is still remaining consistent. So the channel's not going away. Rather, it's things like Twitter, my Twitter account, my Minds account, my Gab account, my Truth account. As you can see, there are a plethora of social media platforms that I have been a part of for quite a while. And I'll go into a little bit about why I am going to be nuking these accounts, including two of my biggest accounts, which is the Twitter account and also my Instagram account as well. And I'll go into some of the mythology and you know how I came to this decision and some of the inspirations for this decision as well today. For anyone who honestly cares about my presence on social media at all, just know that it is not being done lightly. It is being done for the benefit of my own mind and soul in a lot of ways. And there will still be ways to be able to communicate with me because, again, YouTube channel is not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. It's like that scene from The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. So it's nothing like that. It is instead me getting rid of these social media accounts that I have, again, come to the realization that I just have either, in some cases, relied a bit too much on them. I have allowed myself to be consumed by them. I've allowed myself to be manipulated by the fact that there is no context behind the things that people say. And so it's very easy to read into the things that people say. And that oftentimes has led me to feeling anger, frustration, anxiety, sadness, etc., like all kinds of emotions because I've read something a certain way or I've interpreted something a certain way. And again, I'll get into more details about that as the night progresses. But just so you know, one, channel's not going anywhere, and two, also very important as well, is I'm fine. Nothing has happened as far as anything like, you know, there was no breakdown, there was no anything like that either. And also, since I've already seen some people asking in the live chat as well. So when I say social media accounts, I mean specifically Instagram, Twitter, Minds, Gab, actual social media platforms. I do not mean the Discord. The Discord it has become a life of its own. It is a place where other people have relied upon it to communicate with each other. So it wouldn't feel right for me, one, to nuke that one in the first place because so many people use it for things that have nothing to do with me. And second, it also, to me, it's a group of people who know me, who are part of this community, who I'm talking with, who I'm having communications with. And so that is not something that I am trying to push myself away from. I'm not trying to push myself away from any communication with anybody whatsoever, right? Also, there needs to be ways for people to be able to communicate with me, and sometimes people need something besides email. And so, no, the Discord's not going anywhere. My email address, of course, is still going to be available as well. But my Twitter, again, right now, I have a pinned message up there just explaining things a little bit, but I will be deactivating all of the accounts within the next couple of days. So I've put that announcement out there just in case anyone needs to, follow me, needs to get into the Discord server. If you're not in the Discord server, if you check out one of the top links, it's called the Willow link, the w.lo link. In fact, now I actually have a command for my bot. I think that this should work. Let's see. So by putting that command, it should post the link. And so for those that have always wondered, like, what is the Willow link? Heimdall should be posting it pretty soon. There it is. So access all of my links. If you click on that link right there, it'll bring you to a page that has all of the various platforms that you can support me on. So things like Patreon, Locals, Subscribestar, things like that. But also there is a link to the Discord server as well. All right. And yes, by nuke them, I mean, I'm not just going away. I'm not just saying like, I'll see you later. No, I'm planning to deactivate them I think in some cases I can only deactivate, and in other cases I might be able to delete them outright. And again, I'm going to go into the details as to why I've come to that decision, and a little bit more information as well. So anyway, we are live though on YouTube, on Odyssey, on DLive, and also probably for one of the last times on Twitter. If it's not tonight, then on Tuesday, it'll be the last night that we're live on Twitter. As I said, I'll be nuking that account in the next coming days. And so let's say hello to the people in the chat. Your Bammy or your Barmy had a sad face there. Don't be sad. Again, I'm not going anywhere. It's just that the accounts that I have found myself being a little bit too reliant on, and also just in retrospect into some of the ways in which obviously there's good that's come from it, right? There's people that I've been able to talk to and meet through these social media platforms. And so that's why I don't believe that social media platforms are an inherently evil thing by any means. It's just for me, right? This is really what it comes down to as well. This is a decision that I've made for myself. And this is a decision that I've made because of the impact that I've seen these accounts, and even though a few of them like Gab or Minds I typically would just use for uploading videos, just the smallest amounts of stress that all just add together, it's just not good really in the long run. And so to kind of try to detox me a little bit, I'll be nuking the accounts altogether. So anyway, General Wingster, who's a member on the channel, what's going on, General Wingster? He is mocking here Alex McCarthy. Shout out to Alex McCarthy, the real Alex McCarthy. General Wingster says, howdy, and how's it going? How's Thor? I beat Alex McCarthy to the punch, making me a better man. Also, nice that you're dropping social media, better late than never. Yeah, and again, I know some people have already gotten to this point, and they've struggled with it, right? Because for a lot of people, they rely upon even just, for simple things like keeping up with people, with what live stream links, and what's going on with them at any given point. There are people that rely on this stuff, and I totally understand it. And that's again why I'm not nuking I'm not nuking everything. I'm nuking specifically those actual social media accounts. And so the Asgardian community on Discord, that Discord is not going anywhere. All right, Discord is preserved. And again, my email is still a way to contact me as well if someone does need to contact me. But those are going to be the two primary ways. I'm not going to, again, I'll be deactivating Twitter, Instagram, etc. So that will not be a valid way of communicating with me in the future because I won't have access to it. Let's see. Curmudgeon Extraordinaire says, I don't blame you. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have kind of gone through this at some point, or they get to this point at some point in their life. At some point in their time on media, and there's several factors that have really kind of pushed me in this direction that have made me make this decision as well. That have all actually happened really within the last week. It's a kind of amazing thing. It's like in the last week, there's been this culmination of things that I've covered in my class, things that we have been discovering together as a school community, and then also just personal experiences in my own life as well on social media that have made me realize, yeah, you know what? I really need to get myself away from these platforms, G-Monkey76 who's a member saying, we love you, Odin, take all the time you need. Yeah, and again, as I said, right now, the plan is simply to nuke them. It's not to take a break from them. It's to nuke them with no plan of return. That's the ultimate goal right now. Obviously, you can never say never. There might be a major change to a platform, for instance, that takes some of the things that I have concerns about in mind. But since I don't really see that happening anytime soon, as I said, if anyone does need to contact me, there will still definitely be ways for people to contact me. By the way, Daniel Thorne, thank you for the ice cream donation early on over on DLive, good sir. He then also tagged me to say, Chance, no nukes, no nukes. Yes, absolutely. Also over on Odyssey, let's see, metas are better, says there. No, it wasn't metas are better. It was metas are better, right? It's metas are better. Isn't that the way they pronounce it? He says, yay, I caught you live tonight. I appreciate your content and all that you do. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, dude. I really do appreciate that, man. Jacques Suave, thank you also for staying and hanging out over there as well. I appreciate it. Let's see. Carl Peters, what's going on? Sorry that you couldn't stay for the whole stream, and hopefully you can catch this later. And again, that's why I went over the important things in the very beginning. Channel's not going anywhere. All right, channel's not going anywhere. This is just the social media accounts themselves. So most notably Twitter and Instagram, but it would also include the Minds account and the Gab account, Truth account as well. Father Luca, what's going on? Hail to you, Father. Hope you're having a blessed Saturday. Master of Gaming, hail to you. Yeah, it is very toxic. It's a very toxic place. And it's not even just toxic in the content that some people put out. It's also toxic to the mind itself, because you will have friends on there, and some friends will either say something or type something in a way, and you automatically make assumptions about it. And those assumptions then eat away at you, and then it eats away at your perception of that person. And that in and of itself makes it incredibly toxic as well. And that was really kind of one of those straw that broke the camel's back moments for me, at least, was last night. That because I had another moment like that, and I was like, this is not good. This is not good for friendships for me. This is not good for my own mental state, and I shouldn't be thinking this way about people I care about. And so, it's something that's been a long time coming, but last night especially was definitely kind of the point for me where I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of the sign of I really do need to start letting this go. Really started to let these social media platforms go. Because when you get to the point, especially where you're hanging on to something and your mind goes, hey, maybe you should focus on this, or maybe you should focus on that. And then your mind's like, no, I can't let this go. It's like, that again, we all have these different addictions in our life. And so that to me, I was like, okay, yeah, there's clearly an addictive element here going on with a couple of these things. And it's not good. It's not good. It's not healthy. So anyway, let's see. Laura, the modern major general. Hail to you, Laura. Thanks for being in the chat. Input latency. Thanks for being here. Saying social media, particularly the likes of Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Insta, is a pox on individual psyches as well as society at large. I'm using big words again. Oops, hail peeps. Today is a good day. It is a good day. Input latency. No, you're totally right. You are totally right. And that's why one of the inspirations for this, and again, it's not the sole reason why. It's not like, oh, I watched this and then my entire life was changed, because there's clearly things that I'm still going to be partaking in that, even after seeing the movie. But I'm sure that people have either heard of, it's been around, I think, for a couple of years now at least. But it's, it is on the evil platform that is Netflix. And it is I would say quite ironic that it was Netflix that actually put the film out. But it's a great documentary. We're only halfway through it. We're watching it actually as a school community. And it's kind of great because I'm watching it for the first time. And every time there's like a key moment in there where they have these former executives, former presidents, former, makers and, behind the scenes talking about how they manipulate people and manipulate people's emotions. I'm just so, I just keep looking at the faces of the kids. And I'm like, are they processing the information that they're getting right now, right? So it's not only like for me as an adult, like, okay, this is really powerful stuff. It's also like, okay, is it getting through to them? So one thing is, watching The Social Dilemma, I think that obviously has made things just, it's stuff that I already knew. I mean, it's stuff that I've been aware of for a while, because I do read the news, because I do keep up with these things. But at the same time, it's one of those things also where when it's put into a specific pattern, when it's put out and said and explained in a certain way, it gives a greater sense of realness to it, but it also dredges up and brings up, oh, my problem isn't even necessarily what their problem is right now being portrayed on screen. It actually is something else entirely, but this is reminding me of that. It's reminding me of the things that I would struggle with myself. But no, absolutely, dude. These social media platforms have just been destroying. I mean, just the rates, and this is something else that this documentary really goes to show. And this is why my heart really is hoping that these teens, especially, in school, take this to heart, because they're showing you the stats about the tremendous increase in rates of hurting oneself and rates in, taking one's own life, and just how much it's skyrocketed since social media came onto the scene, and how the social media companies know that their companies have this impact, and yet they don't do anything about it. They only care about getting your information, selling your information, building their algorithms, as it were. And so again, that was part of it. That wasn't the only reason. So don't think again, I was like, oh, I watched this movie and so now my whole life's been changed and now I'm dropping everything. No, I actually had not even felt that. We watched that on Wednesday, and on Thursday and early Friday, I was still, I think that I definitely need to start limiting my time a lot more. I definitely was more aware of that, but I was not thinking, I'm going to, nuke my social medias. Another inspiration, though, before, again, going into more of the nitty gritty as far as, the mindset of how I got to this point. But something else that I think also kind of inspired me that I think it tied in very well. It tied in very well with watching The Social Dilemma. And it is in our class. We are covering right now, one of the things I'm doing new this year that I've not done previously is we're doing an intro to philosophy. And so we've just gotten to Plato. We're doing a very condensed version, clearly. If we're only a couple weeks in and we're already at Plato, it's like there's a lot more that we could have covered, but we're already at Plato. And so one of the videos I had them watch, I actually have it linked in the video description. So I actually have links to both of these things in the video description for this specific video, just so you have an idea of some of the inspirations. Again, not motivations, but inspirations. I think that's the way I'm going to define it, right? So motivations are a little bit different than what inspired or what kind of put me in the mindset to make the decision, whereas the motivations were those actual physical factors themselves. But anyway, we were watching, I found a really great video, and it's a professor from Hillsdale College, and he is describing the allegory of the cave, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with from Plato. And he is not just explaining it, he's also going into some of the details about the levels of the cave. And one of the parts that really struck me is he got to where basically it's like the middle part of the cave where in the allegory of the cave, the prisoner who is finally allowed to turn around and instead of seeing the shadows on the wall, right, the perception of reality, instead they're able to actually look at the image makers, to see the actual puppets, to see the actual items themselves that were being held up to the fire, that were being held up with the shadows cast aside. And he made a very brilliant point about saying the image makers, the shadow makers, who are they? Who are they in any given society? And obviously for us, it's the political regimes. It's our social media companies, right? They portray reality through a lens. And so we think that things are as they want us to perceive it to be rather than what it actually is. And so the entire concept of the allegory of the cave is, are we able to then move past that level and say, I want to see what's actually there, what's actually real? So all of these things, again, tied very well together because it also made me realize, man, I am just how impacted and how affected I have been by these image makers within our culture, within our society, which are these social media platforms that, allow for certain items to trend, literally will have items trending that shouldn't be trending, or will take away trending items because they want people to perceive reality the way that they want to, right? This is the reason why you have multi-billion-dollar corporations following the whim of algorithms. They're not following the whims of people, they're following the whims of algorithms. And that's just it's a terrifying reality. And when then you start to see that it's not only impacting these multi-million and multi-billion-dollar corporations, it's then also impacting you and how you live your life and the decisions that you make and the emotions that you feel. Those, again, all together, in addition to the motivations, right? Those are the inspirations, Social Dilemma, Allegory of the Cave, works of Plato. Again, it just tied so well together and just put me in the mindset, in the headspace to, I think, have that moment of clarity last night where I finally ultimately decided to make this decision. But anyway, let me stay also in the chat. By the way, thank you all again for being here. Smash the like button, light the fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey. It does mean a lot for you all to be here. Greta Zenner, what's going on? Greta, thank you for being here. Keely Chow in the chat as well. Stephanie B, heyo, what's going on, Stephanie B? I know that you and Tina are going to be tag teaming it tonight, so thank you very much for being here. Leslie Tharkin, what's going on? Leslie Tharkin, thank you for being here. Bongo, what is going on? Working my double, so don't tell my boss I'm watching an Odin stream to annoy him. Well, you see, maybe I will, since you're always trying to annoy me. Cacao Cookies Minions, what's going on? Welcome. Mr. Roy, hail to you. Thank you for being here. Super Anime Gamer is here as well. Keck44 in the chat. What is going on? Thank you for being here. Let's see. Alex McCarthy, you've already been beaten to that, man. Someone's already done your intro for you. Man. So there is that. And yeah, since I wasn't able to give my thoughts about She-Hulk the other day, all I can say is, yeah, it's complete garbage. I thought that the CGI was going to be the worst part, but then the story happened. And so now I don't even have to complain about the CGI anymore for that show, because the story took care of itself. Orange Hour Reviews, what's going on? The Rogue Attraction. Hail to you. Leslie Darkin says, please pray for my family. My mother has been in the hospital for the last 2 weeks. My uncle, my mother's brother, passed away a couple of days ago. Thank you. Absolutely, Leslie. We'll definitely keep you and your family in my prayers. Ask that our Asgardian community also keep them in your prayers as well. Mohammed Saeed, what's going on? Thank you for being here. Metas are better. Metas are better. Thank you for, again, clarifying that. Ty to say, what grades? I used to teach 7th to 12th at Christian school for many years. Yeah, Catholic education is what I'm in, and so it's junior year that I do. David L. says, if you leave Twitter at all, can River and Willow get accounts asking for a friend? No. Again, maybe if my wife decided to do that, maybe, but not me. I would not be running the accounts. Alaric, what's going on? Welcome. Nearside Cyclops, welcome. Stephanie B. Tagging. I know that you had to leave early. Don't worry. I read the Discord. Again, Discord's not going anywhere for one of those being the many reasons. It's how one of the primary ways that I communicate with my Valks, with my mods. Kimberly G, what's going on? Thank you very much for being here. Father Luke is like, Nukem. Absolutely, Father, studying a lot of this stuff in even further detail as well. Knows even more so about it. So, yeah. All right, Bruce in the chat. What's going on, Bruce? By the way, shout out to Bruce. He was actually able to send me a very kind gift. So I'll give him a shout out and a couple people shout outs actually. So he sent me Planet of the Vampires. He said this was a so bad that it's good film, and he wanted me to have it to either watch or to give away. So anyway, if you've ever seen Planet of Vampires, Bruce, thank you again for sending that my way. I really do appreciate it. Also, since I have them, MVD Visual sent a couple of movies as well. One from Arrow Video, which is Running Out of Time, a 2-film collection. Don't know much about that series, but it's an Arrow Video, and I know that they usually do really good transfers of stuff. It's 2 films by Johnny 2. And then this one I'm actually really interested in because it's a documentary about cinematography, just called Cinematographer. So, as you all know, cinematography is one of those things that I'm pretty passionate about and very much in love with when it comes to what I like and don't like about films usually. And then there's this bad boy right here. Let me get the papers out because I wanted to have those in there just to help transfer. But G-Man, who's usually in the chat, G-Man, thank you so very much, G-Man, for sending this my way. He had a very nice note in there attached to it as well. Let me see if I can actually even find it, because it's like one of those things where, is this to me or is this to Baby Thor? It says, every boy deserves a copy of the Silmarillion. We are all like little children. He says, from the G-Man. So I don't know. Is that for me or is that for him? Because I do have a copy. I have a audiobook copy as well. But seriously, G-Man, you went over the top because look at this thing. This is beautiful. All right, so this is a massive edition of the Silmarillion from Barnes & Noble, right? So you got the massive text, and then there is artwork in it too, but it's not like every page artwork, but still there's, full page artwork in there. But dude, G-Man, thank you so much, man. So this is definitely something that I'll be using, and definitely as Baby Thor is getting older, we'll definitely have him with that version as well. So I just wanted to give shout outs to Bruce, shout outs to G-Man. I don't know if G-Man's in the chat tonight yet or not, but if you're listening back to this later on, thank you so very much, man, because that was awesome. All right, Sandy is having a lot of thumbs up. I don't know if that was because of me nuking social media accounts or because I said that the Discord and stuff, or rather that the YouTube channel wasn't going to go anywhere. Jesse Bailey, what's going on? Modern Major General Laura. I don't know if I shouted you out yet, but You always deserve an extra shout out. Hail to you, Lance Mala. Thanks for being in the chat. Stephanie B says, just nuke them and move on. It's a time suck. Yes, Stephanie B, absolutely. Stephanie B, she teaches yoga. She knows a lot about the connection of mind, body. And, from a Christian philosophical perspective, there's also that understanding of mind and body as well. And we can all connect with it, right? We know that when our mind is in a negative state, it oftentimes does create a physical pain or a physical discomfort, right? There's a very strong connection there. But anyway, Mohammed says, will you start eating pineapple pizza? Never. Yes, Discord is staying. Gus, what's going on? Keely Chow. Yeah, not leaving the tubes. 70B says, what happened with FNT? So yeah, so that's kind of actually what I think sparked it. I think that's what kind of allowed for this to spark. So yesterday on Friday Night Tights, I was not on the show. It was not my choice to not be on the show. Basically what happened was they because they were in the studio, right? They were in the fancy studio. There were because of that, they had someone else producing it. So normally Quarterback Garrett, he is normally the person that's able to get all of the boxes working, to get people to come in, and fix things as they go. But there was someone else running the show. And so because I can never be there on time, because I have a full-time job, because my wife has a full-time job, because of how our time schedules work, I am the only one that can consistently, pick up my son from school, from daycare. And so therefore my start time has to always be, if anyone's ever wondered before why I don't come on until 6 p.m. Eastern for Friday Night Tights, is because family comes first. Ultimately, family comes first. So again, full-time job. So I'm not able to always check messages consistently or to read them fully either during that time frame. And then I, again, pick up my son, and I take care of the evening times. My wife takes care of the morning times. That's how we traded it. So that's her time with him because we are very much focused on having that special time. Because I remember when I was growing up, and I know that my wife remembers when she was growing up, right? We each had special times that were different with our parents, right? With our moms and our dads. And so we want to have that for baby Thor. And that's very important to me. And I don't budge on that. Very rarely will I ever budge on that. And normally it's if there's no other way to make something work. So anyway, because someone else was running the show last night, it meant that it was going to be a little bit more complicated, right? So normally if I come in a little bit later, it's not that bad because Quarter Black can just, bring me in. Normally we're just doing StreamYards, and so it's really not that hard. But even when we were, for instance, in Dallas, right? And we did the live show from Dallas, and we had people who were videoing in. Quarter Black was running that. And so he was able to figure out when we had, Gina Carano come on, randomly via stream, via Jay's stream, for instance. He was the one that was able to figure that out. So I was told beforehand, again, end of my school day, I'm still in school mode, trying to take a little bit of a mental break before picking up my son. That's when these messages are coming through just about, how things are going to be going for the day. And part of it was that they really wanted people to be on time because obviously someone else is running the show, and we don't want to make anything more complicated than it needs to be for the people running it. And so I was told that, basically it would not be possible once the show started for me to be brought on just because of the way in which the show was being run, because of just some of the technical sides of it. Apparently that wasn't the case. My assumption is that there was a miscommunication, that there was the assumption that they technically would not have been able to do that, or it would have been complicated for them to do that. And so they just didn't want to cause any extra complications for them. But I was told, hey, just go ahead and set out for the night since you can't be here on the start time. But again, I can't be there on the start time because there are priorities that I have. But then as the course of the show went on, of course, Jeremy, who had not been able to read his messages, right, just because he was literally driving, 20 hours or so, right, to get back home. So he didn't have a chance to read anything, so he just clicks on the link to join, and guess what? They were able to actually make it work, which is what I assume was going to be able to happen, because I assume if someone's producing a show, that's professional. But so I assume that they were going to be able to do that. But again, this is where my mind started to kind of go off the rails, because here's me making assumptions, right? Assuming motives, assuming things like that. And it led to me thinking in such a way about people I genuinely care about. So I don't want that to get lost in any of this. I'm not blaming anybody in this. I'm not angry at anybody in this. This is not like, oh, Odin's calling people out. No, that's not what this is. This is merely the series of events that happened that led to my mind realizing it's because of the fact that we are communicating through text, because I'm seeing the show, but then I'm seeing these messages and I'm connecting dots that I don't have actual lines to, basically, right? I'm creating my own lines in that specific instance. And also, since I wasn't on the show, guess what? That meant I had a 3-hour period that normally I'm on the show where I wasn't on the show. And 3 hours is a very long time to think. And it was over the course of that time where I realized I don't like that I'm feeling this anger towards people I care about. I don't like that I'm feeling this anger towards my friends. I don't like making assumptions about things and, dredging up old things, as well. And then that, of course, 3 hours, I'm also able to remind myself about other events, other people, other things where it's been similar, where, again, I've read into things, I've read into something that, either didn't turn out to be true at all, or it was just an assumption made on my part. And that's when I came to that moment where I'm like, wow, I didn't realize really until last night, until all this was going down, just how much social media had wired my brain to think about the worst of people, to make the worst of assumptions about people, and to really just just push me down a path. Again, there was a point where I thought, oh, you know what, I have time now. I should use this time and I should go pray. Like this was actually a thought I had in my brain, but my brain could not let go of the Twitter conversation. My brain could not let go. Oh, maybe I'll get a response. Maybe I'll have that response. Maybe it'll be like, oh, hey, actually we were able to figure it out and you can come on the show. And oh yeah, there was some confusion over this. And guess what? We actually have figured it out. And so again, that's where my brain was. And so that's when I recognized, oh, that's a problem. If I can't even break away from this to pray, which again, when it comes to my life, God, family, friends, right? And normally it goes God, family, work, friends, right? That's usually how it breaks down. But work is one of those things where it's as important to family as it is to many other things as well. But I started to realize how twisted, or how much of my mind was being twisted in different ways, and how it was making me feel. Because I felt really down because, yeah, again, I was ready to go last night. I was fully ready to jump on the show, talk about She-Hulk and everything like that. But again, it was a miscommunication, it seems, where it was thought that it was technically not going to be a possibility, or at the very least that it would have been an undue burden on the people running the show, because again, the guys weren't able to run the show themselves because of the way that the studio was set up. Turns out that was not actually the case, but again, they didn't know that was not the case until later. And again, I'm actually very thankful for that, because it made me realize through the emotions that I was feeling, through the anger and frustration that I was feeling, that it was not them, and it was not any actual malintent on anyone's part. It was my brain is too reliant upon social media. My brain is so miswired that I'm making assumptions that I don't even know are true, right? My brain is jumping to conclusions before any actual data is being brought in front of me. So it was during the course of all of that where I realized, yeah, you know what? This isn't good for me. It's not good to feel this way in general, to feel anger, frustration towards friends, people I care about, right? Because I love my Friday Night Tights crew. They drive me crazy, and they will continue to drive me crazy, but I love them still. And so I don't want to feel that way about them. And then also, in addition to that, I also don't want to I don't want to feel down either. Because that's the other impact is it's the outward feeling towards others, but then it's also that internalization that happens too. Because there was a point where I was just, again, because I was just spiraling, again, mentally spiraling in a way where I had, just cuddled up next to my wife and was just like, hey, I know you don't like silence and stuff, but if you could just let me just be quiet here for a moment, it would be helpful. So that is the moment where I realized, yeah, it's time for me to cut some of the social media, specifically social media ties, because it's not the people. It's not. As I said, I love my friends. I love the friendships that I've been able to form through YouTube, through Friday Night Tights and everything. And I know that the reason why I felt the way that I did and why I've ever felt the way that I did in any instance with any person or with anything has been in many ways manipulated, not only by social media, but also by the way in which social media works. And I know that there are people on the channel right now where there have been miscommunications with, where people who I'm friends with here in the Asgardian community, we have literally been, angry at each other. And it turns out that it was a miscommunication, or it was something that was misheard, or something that was lacking context, right? And all of those things are usually lacking when it comes to social media. So again, what are some of the inspirations? Social Dilemma, Plato's Allegory of the Cave, things like that. What are some of the motivations? Previous events where things like that have happened, recognizing my own over-reliance on social media. Again, checking Twitter, getting notifications, wanting to get all of those notifications as quickly as I possibly can, all that stuff, right? And realizing, that this is not healthy. This is not good. And so again, all that led to last night me making the choice to be like, all right. And that's when I put out the post saying, hey, for anyone who follows me on these platforms, I'm going to be nuking these platforms in the next couple of days, because it's just I need to for my own mental state. And as you also could even hear from that, for my spiritual space, for my spiritual state as well. Because again, I couldn't even break to go pray. My brain couldn't even let go of it to pray. And that, again, I think was the biggest thing. That was, I think, the biggest factor that made me go, okay, that's the straw. That's the straw that breaks the camel's back, is that if I can't even go to God through prayer, if I can't even allow myself mentally to break from that, there's a problem. And so social media's got to go. And if some people don't like it, if some people are maybe angry about that or frustrated, I understand. But again, this is my own personal choice, my own personal decision. And just know, guess what? There are still plenty of ways to communicate. And I'm here if anyone does ever need to reach out for any reason. It could be a simple question or whatever it is. Again, the Discord is still there. The Discord is much more easily manageable. The way that Discord is set up, it's not like social media. It's much more like an actual community. Email, again, people can get addicted to email. For me, it's, hey, if you want to contact me, it's a good way. I may not get back to you right away. I may not know how to respond to a certain email, but again, I'm not really going anywhere. So again, not leaving YouTube, not leaving anywhere, just nuking my social media accounts because they're not good. They're not good for me, as they're not good for a lot of people. All right, let's get back into the chat. Hopefully that made sense to some people there. Heron over on Odyssey said, we love you. And well, I appreciate that, Heron. I really do appreciate that a lot, man. Also, low watermark during that. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that I was talking about it for, I can't believe that my explanation was going on that long, but low watermark had donated $50 via Streamlabs. Thank you so very much, low watermark, man. You're always so supportive. He says, it sounds like you are doing the right thing. I've felt a strain on my own well-being from social media as well. Yeah, low watermark, man. And thank you very much you're always so incredibly generous, dude. Seriously, thank you. And yeah, I think a lot of us have felt that strain, have felt that that emotional manipulation in different ways. So I think that is definitely something that maybe you are that person that you might be in a similar position. Maybe this is your breaking point. Maybe this is your aha moment. Maybe this is the, you know what? Maybe maybe I'm not necessarily gonna nuke my account because maybe I need it for business or need it for this, but maybe I could start actually putting limitations on it. Maybe I could start putting a timer on it or keeping track of it a little bit more, or keeping track of my emotions, or trying to have a more healthy, a healthy schedule in that way. So again, everyone's going to be a little bit different, and everyone's going to be able to handle a little bit different, right? Some people can do that, can just, personally limit that. That's not the way I am. The reason why I'm not just taking a break from social media, why I'm going to nuke the actual accounts themselves, is because I know how my brain works, and I know that if I know that channel or that account is just right there waiting for me to reinstall the app and sign back in, that again is a sign also that it's the account and the platforms themselves that I need to break away from. Because for anything to have a hold on me like that is not good. It's not healthy. So Low Watermark also just donated 20 Army of Asgard level memberships as well. Dude, Low Watermark, you're on fire tonight, dude. Seriously, thank you so much. And for everyone that's now a new member, again, Low Watermark, thank you so much, dude. You're awesome. Thank you. See, Jason Evanstein had to say, this is one of the healthiest decisions you can make. Good jobs. Well, thank you, man. Again, and I just also want to make it clear, too, because I can see how it could be viewed a certain way. I'm not trying... the reason why I'm doing this stream specifically and why it's named the way that it is because I just want people to understand the reasonings behind it, the inspirations behind it. And just because I know that there are people who, if I just nuked it all with no word, there would be rumors, there would be, parts of conversations that I would have had with people I was closer to that would have been shared around in some way or the other. It's that game of telephone, right? It's the game of telephone where something is said and then it's spread. Well, you have me on video saying the things that, again, were part of this decision. And so there's no room here for miscommunications. That's why if anyone does need clarification on anything, that's another reason why I have this. So just, again, tag at Odin in the very beginning of your comment, so that way I can highlight it and hopefully answer. Sharon Allen says, thank you for the rosaries. It's a nice present to come home to from my stay in the hospital. Sharon Allen, praying for your recovery, and I'm very happy that you were able to get the rosaries halfway across the world. Took a while, but hey, glad that you were able to get them. Master of Gaming, you are one of the most relatable people on the internet. Also my favorite anti-SGD. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. David L. Deleting social media. What happens in Vegas? Not staying in Vegas. Again, I'm not in Vegas. And as I said, and I want to make it very clear, it has nothing to do with individual persons. It has everything to do with my own personal reaction to and interaction with these platforms themselves and the impact that the platforms have had on me. So again, I just want to make that clear as well. General Wingster, Tad to say, but Odin, how will I get the... Wingster, you disgusting troll, you. You disgusting troll, you. How dare you. And as I always say, I'm always behind the chat. 7:43 in real life. It's 7:04 in the chats where I am, which is why Stephanie B at 7:04 was like, why nuke them? Hopefully I've answered that question. Let's see. Yeah, Alex McCarthy, I did see this happen. It's okay. I guess I'll have to promote RIPD alone on Twitter. Yeah, I saw that. And oh my goodness. How in the world did RIPD get a sequel is what I want to know. It also, I think... To be honest, I think that is the best example of just because a movie doesn't make money does not mean that a studio will not continue to perpetuate it. It took a long time for that one, but again, studios will put out movies whether they make money or not. It's kind of crazy in a lot of ways. Let's see. Soul Assassin says, was it the tweet on the RIPD sequel that made you want to quit? No, it's definitely not that. That's the kind of stuff that I liked using. Again, as I said, so I don't think social media is evil in and of itself. It can be a tool in a certain respect, but it's only a tool as far as it is used as one. And it is very easy for that tool, which is being manipulated by people behind the scenes, again, kind of tying it back to Plato a little bit, right? Who are the image makers? Who are the ones controlling that image that we see, right? That is going to control what that tool's impact on our life is actually going to be. But there are useful things, right? So getting notifications about that. But remember, there's a simple Google search. There are websites that are able to cover news stories. So again, I'm still going to be able to know about these things. It's just that it's going to be away from the toxic social media environment. Because I'm not going fully Amish here or anything like that, right? I'm not doing a complete total digital detox. So it's just a very large step. It's a very large detox, right? Very large detox, but not obviously a full one. Java Evan Bear, what's one franchise that you hate but everyone loves? Oh man, I feel like normally it's like the opposite of that is usually the case. I guess there were a lot of people that liked Endgame. I don't think of franchises. I think of individual films. A lot of people liked Endgame when it first came out. I hated it from the start. A lot of people liked Avatar when it first came out. Hated it from the start. I guess, to be honest, I think that there are still some people that have hopes for Avatar 2. So since that is now a franchise, because the second film's coming out in December, I would say, hey, that's an example. There are a lot of people that still are wanting to see what James Cameron's been doing for the last, 10 plus years. Super says, I can't remember. Is your Discord server public or Patreon exclusive? Access to the server itself, public. Anyone can access it. There are channels in the Discord server that are exclusive to Patreon members and locals members, etc., whatever tier of support you have. So again, there's plenty of sections in there, general sections, etc., all of which are available to anybody. But yeah, there are some sections, like there's a giveaways channel. Like, again, there's an individual text channel in the Discord that only people with access can get to. But yeah, the server itself is public. Again, check out the Willow link. I'll go ahead and for anyone who still wants to, have access to notifications for when I go live or things like that. Again, I'll go ahead. I just put in the little command for it. There is the link for my link tree, and in there, just look for the icon that is the Discord icon, and if you click on that, you'll be able to be brought into the Discord server. Let's see. Over on Odyssey, Jacques LeSwab says, according to Sam Harris, Hunter Biden could have children's corpses in his basement. It still wouldn't be as egregious as you taking care of your own mental health and spiritual health. Yeah, dude. I mean, and that's where you get to, and I'm not trying to knock anybody who might be agnostic, atheistic. I know that there are people who follow me, but they're respectful, right? They're respectful of people of faith. And so it's just amazing to me, though, where you have comments coming like that from Sam Harris, etc., where, yeah, there's no evil in the world that some people can do that will be able to move them. It's kind of crazy. Let's see. Muhammad, hail to you. Let's see. JS Pena says, not going to lie, been thinking about doing this for a while now. The problem is I'm just addicted to it. JS Pena, again, that's the reason why I am. That's the reason why I have to go cold turkey with it. I have to, again, I'm going to give buffer time. So the first step, for those maybe wondering, the first step I did is I deleted all the apps from my phone. So I'm not getting the notifications on my phone anymore. That has already been just huge. That's already been a major life shift in general. So that's the first part. But I also recognize that some people are good with their social media usage, and so they're able to be very cautious with it. They're able to be very balanced with it. And so they don't check their social media every day. And so some people might not know that I'm nuking the account. And so I want to make sure that anyone who is interested in that does. And again, I don't know exactly what it looks like, because I know some platforms you can delete it forever, and so it just doesn't show up. I think for others, you can only deactivate, and so it'll stay public, or parts of it will stay public, basically. I think that might be how Twitter. I don't know exactly how it works, but so I might put something in the description being like, nuked myself by choice, versus the other. And I'm actually even tempted to my main account. Remember, my main Twitter account is still locked by Twitter because of a statement of fact, and so I might actually just remove my appeal of that, just so that I can get back in, just so that I can let people know, since I know that there are people who, there was someone who just like 3 days ago direct messaged me on the new account I had created and saying, "Oh, here you are." And I was like, bro, it's been like weeks. So again, it shows you that there are people who are much better with social media usage. And so again, that's the reason why I think giving that kind of that buffer for other people just to know about it, Lucas says, I would suggest exterminatus. Oh, Father Luca. Is that like just a playful thing, or is that an actual thing? Let me know more, Father Luca, if you can. There you go. Yeah, Laura posted a link to the Discord server as well. So yeah, they can create links that expire. The link that I have in the Willow link, again, the link that I've posted a couple times, that one does not ever expire. So again, if you don't want to join today, or if you don't have time to join today, as long as you have access to that Willow page, that link will still be active. Over on DLive, I've actually figured out a way to get the DLive chat embedded on OBS, so I can keep up with them. Daniel Thorne, Tatty say, Andor isn't looking good. Director is not a Star Wars fan and wants to bring realism in, wants to bring Trumpism in, and gender politics. Yeah, I remember seeing that, and that's just, again, it's just one of those things that is just going to push more and more people away, because why do we watch these movies or shows? We do it to escape, right? And I think it ties into the discussion we're having tonight about social media, right? Social media, it is so corrupting to reality on all sides. And I brought this up to my kids as too. One of the worst times, but also one of the best times to see this on full display is the election year, right? Is the election cycle. Because what do you see? What do you hear, right? What are the image makers, using this language of, of the cave, right? The people who are portraying the image on the wall. What are they putting out there? On one side, it's, for instance, Second Amendment. You'll have people saying, they're going to ban guns completely. They're going to take your guns away. And then on the other side, they want guns in the street everywhere. They want a baby as soon as they're born, right? And it's like, neither of those are actually true, right? The truth is much more nuanced and is much more in the middle than that. And that's the reason why it's so important for us to break away from that. And that doesn't mean, by break away, that doesn't mean that everyone has to just go and, that everyone has to go and nuke their socials. But it does mean that each person's going to have their own way, and has to have their own way of being able to have a balanced diet, basically, of information. Just like with news. You don't ever want to get your news from just one source or from one perspective. You want to try and get, as it's often said, a balanced diet, because you want to be able to see, okay, here's what someone from this angle would say, here's what someone from this angle would say. Let me try and see what the actual truth is. Father Lucas says, nuke him like Bruce Willis nuked the asteroid. Again, 70B, as I said, hopefully that explained the situation. Hopefully that explained the situation, because again, there was at the time there was a level of being upset, but a lot of it has more again to do with the social media twisting than it has to do with anything else. There was not anything nefarious that was going on with it. It wasn't like they were like, we're not going to let him on. Again, that's where my mind may have gone to. But again, that's one of the reasons why I decided to nuke my social media accounts, because I'm like, that's not a good thing when I'm viewing my friends in that lens, when I know, like, if I just step outside of myself for a moment and look at reality and say, that's not actually what's going on, So there's no tea to spill. There's no tea to spill. Let's see. It's a Trap says, just joined Discord, my lord. Awesome. Well, welcome. Let's see. Master of Gaming says, guess what? Embracer Group acquired Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit from Tolkien's estate. I don't know much about Embracer Group, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Rob D, again, this does not include the YouTube channel, not going anywhere. Orange Chat says, it is really understandable. I myself am trying to reduce my use of social media. Sometimes it's better to stay in the real world, better for family. Hope all is well, brother. Yeah, God bless you, Orange Chat. Absolutely. And that's why, again, it's important that's why I am keeping things like the Discord and my email access and things like that, because there are people that, especially within the community that I want to talk with. The community section on YouTube. Again, I sometimes will post there and people can communicate. I used to do polls. I remember I was doing polls daily, and for some people, they loved it. For some people, they were like, oh my goodness, I'm just so tired of these polls. And so, I'm not against community engagement, right? So, locals is a way that people support me, but technically is also, it has a social dynamic to it, but it's kind of similar to a Discord, I think, where it's actual community. Where Twitter, it's like, no, people are controlling the narrative and perceptions are being controlled as well. And it's a lot easier to become obsessed and focused on the things, right? Like how many people right now watching the stream who use Twitter literally will refresh their feed, once every few seconds just to see what the latest news story is, right? Like that's the kind of habit, that's the kind of thing that it's not just a habit, it's not just an addiction, it's also a rewiring of the brain, of how we process information, of how we look at information as well. So again, all of these things coming together, right? Again, last night that was just the culmination of these things, So again, there's as we're going back to Stephanie's original comment, there's no spilled tea or anything like that going on with it. Brian Barr says, oh, you just bedridden to social media. For a moment, I thought you'd gone mad. No. Definitely not gone mad. Again, this is not just some random, this is something that's been in my mind for a while that was brought further to my radar this past week because of just subjects that I cover in my class, specifically new this year with philosophy, and then also watching the first part of The Social Dilemma. Like that just kind of put my mind already, kind of prepped it, as it were, so that with the events that unfolded over the last couple of days, like it really, I think, put it into my head, okay, yeah, there's a problem here, and it's not other people, it's me, and it's the way that I use social media. It's how I've allowed social media to impact my life. And this is something also too, right? I've said this from the very beginning as well, right? That, my social media. So for instance, I've said with the YouTube channel, why do I do YouTube? I do YouTube because it's fun. I like having these conversations. I like talking with y'all. And I've said this and I stand by it. The moment it stops being fun, I walk. The moment it stops being fun, I leave. And when it comes to my social media profiles, that moment came. That moment has come, right? So when it comes to Twitter is no longer fun. Not that it ever was fun, but like it's no longer it is no longer worth the headache. It's no longer worth the negatives have now far outweighed the positives. And so that's why I'm nuking those social media platforms. All right. So again, just to clarify that, because I know some people were worried about it. Near Cyclops, you are hopefully remaining the conscious of FNT. I have no plans of going anywhere. Again, this is nothing against anything. This is not me going off against anyone last night or anything like that. I'm not going off on FNT because I love FNT. I love my brothers and sisters. Again, that we have formulated a family. But I think so. I guess another way of looking at it too is I realize that I feel very distant from many of them, but it's not because of them. It's because of me. It's because of how I've allowed myself to use social media to have conversations, to formulate relationships, etc. Like that is where I think the distance has actually come from. It's a distance that I've created in my own mind versus an actual distance in real life. And so again, that is where really the problem comes down to. It's not something that any individual person did or what any group of people did. That's not what this is about. This is purely about my own mental state and where it is and where I've seen it going and where I see the only path of being able to hopefully retrain the brain, as it were, to not be as, not just as negative, but not to not be nearly as, creating narratives in my head based off of information that is not even necessarily real, Brian Bart, again, hopefully I explained that situation well. I'm not going to explain it again because I think I put it in the words that I wanted to put it in. And so I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want things to be said multiple times and then people cut things together and try to create drama when there is not meant to be any. Nathan Slay, what's going on, good sir? Joe Wingster, it's telling that social media was idealized to connect people better, yet people are more divided than ever. Exactly. Again, it's connected us so well that it has at the same time. And I think actually that comment, Joe Wingster, is actually more deep than you think it is, because social media as a tool was meant to bring us together. But because this tool has been taken by manipulators, by people who are casting the shadows on the wall of the cave, because they are the image makers, they have turned that tool into a almost self-defeating one. Unless you either, one, don't use it, or two, know exactly what you're getting into and are well balanced with it. And I think the vast majority of people, in fact, don't have a very good balance with it. And I see this every single day when I see kids with their phones, And that's why one big thing we're trying this year is being a lot more strict about how phones are handled. Because the issue that I've at least found this year is, part of the policy we have is that the phones have to be turned off during class time, not silenced, but powered off. And some, it's not just that they forget, some just can't imagine having to power it back on to get access to the information that they may have missed during the hour of class. That is what I'm seeing every day. So then I'm now looking at that and saying, how am I utilizing this? Because even though I'm an adult, I use many of these same platforms, right? And so how is it affecting me? Am I, in many ways, I'm seeing this and saying, oh my goodness, there's a problem here. Am I ignoring the problem that might exist within my very self? And I think I am, And I think that's a very important thing to come to grips with. Daniel Thorne over on DLive says, I'm looking at female reviewers. They aren't happy with the blunt messaging in She-Hulk. How will they screw Daredevil over in this show? Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of things, right? There's going to be a lot of things going on right there, for sure. Orange Chat says, when it comes to vague posts, I usually just ask the person if there is something they're really trying to convey. I'm direct like that, sometimes to benefit, sometimes to detriment. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's because of that. There's always that chance of detriment that I tend to avoid those things, that I tend to avoid, just those things in general. But yeah, I totally understand though where you're coming from with that, Brad. So totally understand where you're coming from with that. All right. Let's see. Dr. Martin Van Nostrand says social media is often a poor substitute for physical local interaction. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the reason why, just for instance, again, because I know that there are some people who are going to try and twist some of the things that I've said. And that's why I've been trying to be very careful with the way that I've worded the things that I said, that they're going to try and twist it into something that it's not. Again, that's what social media is meant to do. And that's why I'm going to be getting the heck away from social media. But for instance, if you look at the way that we interact with each other, right, on Friday Night Tights or any show I do where there's other people, right, the Chosen of Valhalla stream, right, the way that we interact when we are physically together is different in certain respects than when we're not, right? It's different. It is physically different when you are in the room with the person, getting to talk with them, because again, social media makes you think that there might be beef when there isn't. Social media might make you think things are fine when they're not. Like, again, there are either extreme that could be happening from social media because of the way it makes us perceive reality, because of the way it makes us perceive the things that are here. And that's, again, why I think it is so incredibly important for us to try to find that balance, to try to find that way of looking at it, because ultimately it can have a major impact on our relationships with the friends that we've made, you know? And if there's one thing that I can be incredibly thankful for, it's that the issues that are going on with me, and again, this is a me issue, not an anyone else issue. So for anyone who might be in the chat trying to dredge up something that's not actually there, this is, again, a me issue, which is why I'm nuking my social media accounts on multiple platforms, personal accounts here. The one thing I am incredibly thankful for, though, is that it has not had a direct impact on my actual personal life, right? My actual family life. That's something that I've always tried to be very, very cautious of. And so that's something I'm thankful for, that it never got to that point at the very least. John Wingster says, follow Luca also lets crazy people on that. Anyway, let's see. Bongo, that's F714. It's 8:06. Oh my goodness. I'm almost an hour behind the chat. Again, apologies, but I think that it's an important discussion tonight. So Bongo says, how old are the kids that you teach? Absolutely. They are, again, they are very much addicted to social media. Very much addicted to it. So again, when I can see the impact that it's having on a young mind, it helps me, I think, better see as well, to look at the mirror and see what kind of impact it's having on me also, as well, you know. Let's see. Khaled Mansouri says, we missed it. Yeah, I mean, again, I missed it too. I was there ready to go. You saw me in the chat. But unfortunately, again, miscommunications, again, those happen. And again, because of how I mentally was perceiving what I thought was going on, or what I perceived to be going on, it's again not based in reality, but based in this false perception that social media oftentimes can create. You know, it caused anger and frustration on my part. But as I said, in the end, it's because of my own issues with social media than it is with anything else, which is why I'm nuking it. Because yeah, I wish I could have been on last night, and luckily we'll be back to the normal. We'll be back to the normal routine this coming week, since we'll be back on the StreamYards, and so yeah, everything will be good, you know, as far as that's concerned, because we won't have to worry about the technical issues. So excited to be back and talk about it. Let's see. Martin Van Nonstrom says, if carefully curated and handled with wisdom and discipline, social media can be a valuable tool. If not handled wisely, like anything, it can become an idol. That's also true. That is also incredibly true as well. Yeah, and 70B, it's not that I'm supporting Netflix at all. It's not that that's what it is about. It's, again, I think that it's actually incredibly hypocritical that they have the distribution rights to the movie. And I think they actually were in the part of it's amazing to me that they were even in the part of the process, I believe, maybe even of producing the movie. And it's like, bruh, you're doing the things that this movie is even calling out. Doesn't change the fact, though, that the movie itself is well done and is getting at something that needs to be talked about. It's similar to, you had to separate the art from the artist, you know? In many ways, sometimes we have to separate the multimedia corporation from the content they hold, right? Because let's say tomorrow Amazon, you know, or whoever picked up the rights to Casablanca. Does that mean that I just, you know, give up on ever watching Casablanca if that was the only way that I could watch it? No, because it doesn't change the movie itself. So again, I think that that's where we have to separate, you know, and again, if individuals, similar to me, you know, I am choosing to nuke this. If individuals choose to avoid Netflix like the plague, which I totally respect, and by, you know, the way that they do that is by, you know, never giving them a dime, hey, more power to you. But hey, the movie itself is still incredibly important. See, Father Lucas says, I need to reread some of Plato's dialogues. Yeah, unfortunately, we're at a very low level, so I almost wanted us to actually read the dialogue itself of the allegory, but I'm actually happy because there's a philosophy club that they actually got a printout, and I think they're actually going through it, and they're like acting it out and stuff. So it's like, I feel like it's good that whatever students are in there might actually have some more insights to add into our discussions that we have in class. Because again, I'm having to do a much more, a much more appended version of it. John Wingster says, I'd attend that class with philosopher Ode never took a class. Yeah, I mean, it's you can always tell some students just don't care at all, right? And other students are just like, yes, like when we were watching the video with the allegory of the cave, especially, even though it was someone explaining the situation, or rather explaining what it was and everything, it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing to see. It was pretty amazing having some of them after class, especially, be like, their brains were just like buzzing with like, oh my goodness, like there's just so many things, and some made some really interesting connections that even I had never thought of before. Like one of the students came up to me and said, in many ways, it's like you could actually look at the philosopher, the one who's come in from the light and has come down to try and tell the people what reality actually is. You could see that as Christ. And I'm just like, you're absolutely right. And what happened, right, in the story, in the account from Plato, what happens? They threaten to kill him because they don't want to break their chains. They are so set in what they believe to be real that they don't want anyone shaking them. We can see that in our modern world, right? People who we would say are almost like in a cult, mass formation psychosis, however it is that you want to say it. And a lot of this is perpetuated by social media companies. And again, one of the many motivating factors to me just trying to push them away. But yeah, I mean, he was able to make that connection to say, yeah, in a lot of ways, right? Because what happened with Christ? He got killed. People didn't want to hear the message of I am the way, the truth, and life, And I was like, man, high school student, blowing my mind like that. It's also the show, like, teachers don't know everything, and we learn from all of them. All right, so it was like 7:14, I think, in the chat, and YouTube sucks, and so therefore it doesn't hold all of those conversations, unfortunately. So it's now jumped to 7:46 in the chat. So if anyone did comment in that time, I do apologize if your comment was skipped. But again, it's a pretty busy comment here, or rather, pretty 131 people watching. Dang! Well, welcome everybody. Welcome. I appreciate y'all being here. Smash the like button, light up the fire button. Anyway, Father Luca at 746 said, so you're not going full Carthusian then, the Catholic version of the Amish? No, definitely not going full Carthusian then. Definitely not going full Carthusian. Matt317 says, I like Endgame less and less. I feel like a lot of people are in that too. Culture Clash. Yeah, it's okay to like bad movies though. Shout out to Drunk 3PO. Here in the Steadfast, what's going on, brother? Welcome back. Zach Gregg, what's going on? Yep. That's one of the many reasons why. It's just very unoriginal. By the way, Tina's in the chat. What's going on, Tina? I'm sure at some point y'all had switched off, but as I said, I was kind of wanting to be as clear as I could in my explanation of things, so I think I may have missed the live chat or parts of the live chat. Master Gaming. Universal also made a sequel to Time Cop in 2004, almost a decade after the original. So I'm not surprised that we're getting an RIPD. Also, I imagine if we get a Max Steel 2 or Morbius 2. Well, I think Morbius 2 has already been there. I just saw this comment from Little Mouse. So again, I posted this to my Valks as well, but just in case, because I know sometimes technology is just not fun. But anyway, that'll give you the link to the Discord. So Heimdall will be posting the link specifically to the link tree, and in the link tree you just click on the Discord icon, and so that link right there, the WLO.link, so to my link tree, you just click on the icon that looks like that's the Discord icon, and it'll bring you into it. Yeah, Heimdall's pretty cool. There's various commands now that he'll put that information out there. Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, how about a hockey player? What's going on, Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan? Thanks for being here. Matt says, also, Avatar 2 is another Disney movie, so a no-go. Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm going to be bound to go see it to give my thoughts about it. I just don't want to. Oh, man. Let's see. Lee Kramer, what's going on? He liked Avatar. How dare you? Crisco, what's going on, Crisco? Tag to say She-Hulk's first episode is the worst plot, or rather the worst pilot that Marvel has ever produced. Even worse than I thought it was going to be. What do you think is the worst Marvel pilot? Yeah, it's worse. It's even worse than Miss Marvel. I mean, Miss Marvel had a pretty weak opening episode, and it wasn't a very good show. And I didn't think that we would have one beat that. But no, She-Hulk is worse. Opening episode, pilot episode is so much worse. It's so much worse than anything that Miss Marvel ever put out. It's sad. Rough Girl, what's going on? I had to step away. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Sometimes we need to. Blix, what's going on? Welcome. Giant Rat says, just got here. Just leaving. Yeah, just missing. Again, just leaving Twitter. It's the social media. I don't know why it's being, again, if anyone's trying to spread fake information about anything, about what this stream is or the motivations behind it, this is me simply stating, hey, I'm leaving my social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, etc., behind because of the impact that I know it has on me. And last night was just the culmination of a lot of things beyond FNT, well beyond FNT. Again, it's a personal choice, a personal matter, because I don't like the way social media has kind of rewired my brain to think. Simple as that. I don't like the way it's rewired my brain to think, because it's made me think ill of others. It's made me get to a point where I am so connected to wanting to see if I have gotten a response, if I've gotten, anything, right? It's all about too, right? You want that dopamine hit, right? You want the dopamine hit of getting the response, of getting this or getting that. That's what this is all about. Again, personal health, personal state of mind in general. And again, just last night just happened to be the culmination of that. And again, I explained it in a lot more detail earlier on. So again, please do not try and spin or twist that into something that it's not, because it has nothing to do. Again, I love FNT. I love my FNT family. This has nothing to do with that. All right, this is everything to do with me and my own personal choice. All right, Matt talking to Father Luca. General Wingster, 300 is a fantastic franchise that Owen just... Hey, there you go. Though there's only 2 movies technically, and here's the fun part, General Wingster. I prefer the sequel. Not because it's a good movie. It's just I think that the sequel is far more entertaining. Michael Hill, who's now a member, never went social media, never go full social media. Agreed. Dr. Martin says, I curate my social media carefully and find it a blessing. Yeah, and again, some people can handle that. Some people have figured things out, right? Some people have figured out the code, figured out the matrix. But I don't have that capacity at this point, So, Jester of Roanoke, what's up? General Wingster, Rhaegar, but is he worse than Vosh? Who, me? I don't want to ever be in the same conversation as Vosh. Laura says, Ben Shapiro's wife made him delete Twitter from his phone. As brilliant as Ben is, he didn't even realize how addicted to social media he was. Amen. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Kudos to her, man. Kudos to her. Because, yeah, we sometimes do not recognize how addicted we are to something or how much something has impacted the way in which we think and view the world. And as I said, last night was just clarification about that part for me. It was my realization of, okay, this is the kind of impact that this can have on me. This is the way my brain has now been basically rewired by media and by social media specifically to think of non-answers or no responses or whatever it might be to let my brain basically go wild with theories that are not actually true. And to allow that to impact, again, it's not healthy, because it makes me view friends in a way that I don't want to view them, not because they are, but because that's how, again, my brain has now perceived that to be. So again, this is all to do with the way in which my own brain works and what I think is going to be the best path going forward for it. And right now, I'm looking at social media as being one of the main proponent of it, or rather the main component of it. Rhaegar Targaryen, what's going on? Rhaegar, asker of what a recession is. Always love your name changes there. Alaric says here, have you considered doing an online book club reading of Tolkien's books? Like doing a few chapters, each one at a time, with comments and thoughts from you in the chat. The Silmarillion is a good book. Alaric, well, thank you for the question. I've not, just because I know other channels that have done that. I believe I've seen her in the chat tonight, Miss Martin Muses. Shout out to Miss Martin Muses. I'm pretty sure she has done Silmarillion. I know she's done a lot of Tolkien stuff, but she's done book club type things where they go into full discussions about it and go into the characters and things like that. So I feel like there's people who are just much more well-versed, again, much more well-versed in these things than I am. So, yeah, I haven't ever thought about that. And that's the other thing too. Some of you may have already recognized this. I didn't do a video on it because it didn't need nearly as much explanation as this one, because this is the one where people would be like, oh, where did he go? Right. Just with entire accounts going away. But some of you may have noticed, and I've mentioned on stream offhand a couple of times, where I'm not making as much videos as I was before. And a big part of that is, again, because, the things that I like talking about are box office numbers, breaking those things down. And I also like to do movie reviews as well. And for a while, I was in the habit and the routine of getting up every morning and making a video every single day. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I think that for some people it works for them. But for me, I realized I was putting too much stress on myself to get a video out that I didn't necessarily have the passion in that video that I would have liked myself to have had, So yeah. So I'm limiting myself on even the amount of content that I make. Alice McCarthy, I'm really good with social media. I only make 12 TikTok videos a day. No! Super says here, not even that. It's the fact that Sam Harris claims to be superior and then goes on to say corruption is okay. When my side does it because your side is worse, he's no different and doesn't see it. Well, and that's the biggest problem with new atheism specifically, and that's why so many people have rejected new atheism, because it was cool in like the 90s and, early era internet. It was cool to be the new atheist, but ultimately over time people realize, yeah, these people actually aren't bringing up any new ideas or new concepts to their arguments. They're just being a lot more brash about it. And, I think as time has gone on, more and more people have said, yeah, I don't really like the way you're portraying this all that much. I might agree with what you say, but I don't really like this anymore. Andor broke ground, says Matt317. Commander Phil, what's going on? Welcome. Let's see. Rough Girl. As I said, I'm not leaving YouTube. Not leaving YouTube. So again, my social media accounts, I try to explain it, but I know that some people have come in at different times. I am getting rid of things like Twitter, Instagram, Gab, Minds, things like that. The Discord server is still here. So if you're not in the Discord server, it's a great place to be. But then also YouTube channel is staying as well. So don't worry. I'm not leaving in the full sense. We want baby guns, says not another time. I'm glad that you were able to pick up on that, because I imagine I was like, someone's going to make a comment about that one. So that's a while back. Again, that's 7:53 in the chat. It's 8:24 in real life. I only got about 6 minutes left in the show, so I'm going to try and get through as many comments as I can. And again, thank y'all for being here. General Wingster says, I want every baby over 2 to have guns. Kimberly G, Twitter has shown me a lot more evil than I wanted to ever know existed. Exactly. David L. says, I support a baby's right to be armed, even in the womb, may help reduce the number of deaths. Jester says, when I realize I've been on social media too much, I set a timer for 10 minutes to keep working and resetting the timer and keep the phone on a charger with the goal to keep the phone above 70%. Yeah, and like that's something too where, you know, I had already started doing some of this stuff like a while back. And one of the things that I did was I put a timer on it. But the issue is that with the timer, at least on iPhone, on iOS, is that you can, when the timer shows up, it says, do you want to add another minute? Do you want to add another 5 minutes? And then there's another option where it's like, do you want to ignore it for the day? And so it's again, that I just know that path is not going to be a good one. Miss Martin Muses, social media also presents a grave temptation to pride. Absolutely. Miss Martin Muses, absolutely. I cannot tell you how many interactions that I've had with people who very well could have been good-natured people, but I probably came across as an ass. Someone was actually in the chat earlier. I don't know, JS Pena. I don't know if you're in the chat, but the way I responded to him, I was just like, I was looking back at that after the fact, and I was like, oh man, I did not come across in a very charitable light here. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I've seen that, I've seen that impact on me as well. There's multiple factors here. There's so many factors to this. It's just, again, think of it more so as the last 24 hours being that straw, but there's been buildup for a long time. So again, it's nothing that anyone is trying to perpetuate it to be. Again, there are people who are trying to be the image casters in the chat itself. It seems, at least. By trying to say, oh, this is drama about this. No. This is me finally recognizing a problem that I have that I need to address. Last night was a part of it, but again, it's because of the way in which I perceive things. So it's on me. But yeah, pride is a big part of it. Alice McCarthy says, when it comes to news outlets and the actual truth, I am Iron Man. There you go. Miss Farm uses putting the tea. Again, nothing about spilling any tea here. Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, I could care less about Star Wars. I used to like Star Wars. Last Jedi is what did it for me. I still love Star Wars because I watched the originals and my son loves them too. So, Rough Girl, thank you. I appreciate that. General Wingster says, Embracer Group is a decentralized conglomerate that own many video game studios. They show promise. Okay, well, that's good. That makes me happy then. Super then adds to that. Transmedia company, meaning specialized in multiple types, video games, etc. Bought Lord of the Rings. They're going to turn it into... so Super is sad about it, whereas Super sad about it, whereas Wingster is happy, or that there's promise about it. Let's see, Alaric said, Midnight's Edge did a good breakdown of Embracer Group. It's a Swedish gaming company and just the licensing purchase. Okay, gotcha. So basically they get to determine who gets to actually create content because they own the license to it, is what I'm gathering. Bongo says, less time on social media equals more time with your family. Sounds like a huge improvement. Amen. And also more time in prayer. Because that's something where, I bring it up, from time to time. I'm a person of faith. It's very important to me. And that's something else that I've recognized as well, that I'll have my phone up and I will be on a social media app, even if I had originally planned to pray. And so this is going to allow me as well to be able to spend a little bit more time in prayer. Alaric then says, I'm sensing you are becoming obsessed over the Twitterverse. Yeah, I was absolutely becoming obsessed. Absolutely. Let's see. Sinoa, thank you for understanding. I appreciate it. Giant Rat and Will Gentry are now members on the channel. Again, thank you very much to Low Watermark for gifting those memberships. I'll try and get through as many as I can. Kimberly Jiz says, when you don't get catcalled, you lose your self-esteem. It's to be a compliment. Let's see. Miss Mar Muses, could it be Satan? Yeah, seriously. There's a lot of times where I wonder. It's like, okay, there's a lot of seemingly demonic stuff going on, especially with some of the creepy stuff you see on social media too. Jacques Suave over on Odyssey tried to say, at least you can say your social media stood longer than Janie or Stelter. Fair play. Daniel Thorne over on DLive. House of Dragon looks like it might actually be good, but I still can't watch. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not the wife has any interest. I don't think she does, because season 8 of Game of Thrones just really did turn off so many of us from having any interest in that universe anymore. So it's something that I'm going to watch because we're going to talk about it on a Friday Night Sites. Like, that's something that's going to come up, right? So that's why we're going to keep watching She-Hulk, unfortunately, and why we're going to watch the Rings of Power as well. But as I said, this is something I said constantly before. It's because if we aren't the ones who are also putting out information about it and criticizing it, which means we have to actually watch it and we have to actually be able to speak about it, then what are you left with? You're left with mainstream media outlets. You're left with shill media sites that are going to praise it. And so we want to be those voices where if someone maybe says something doesn't seem right, or I don't know if I like this, they put the search in and then all of a sudden they realize, okay, there's a whole community attached to this. Let's see. Daniel Thorne over on DLive's just donated an ice cream donation. He also said, I'm surprised you never snuck in a prayer at the end of OMB report stream. I sometimes would offer prayers at the end of some streams. I've done that on times before. I didn't sneak them in, but usually would be that. G-Man, I shouted you out earlier, bro. You should have been here at the beginning of the stream. I already shouted you out. Thank you. For those that may have missed it, G-Man sent me this. It's beautiful. Thank you so very much, man. So this giant version, there's some illustrations in here as well of the Silmarillion. So thank you so very much, dude. I really do appreciate it. However, I don't know. You said in there that every little boy, deserves that to own the Silmarillion. It's like, are you talking about me or are you talking about Baby Thor? I feel like you're talking about me. But I also like your reference to we're like little children. Blick says, just call him up, talk. Getting rid of Twitter is best. You are crucial. FNT always. As I said, right, that, again, there's no T there, all right? Don't put something or don't spin something into something that isn't actually there. I hope that I was able to explain that to the best of my ability. Again, this is a social media issue, not an issue with any individual person. Again, I love my FNT crew. I love my FNT family. I'm on FNT, right? We are FNT. We are the fellowship. That hasn't changed. It's just that I'm done with social media. General Wingster, Odin has begun a civil war. Again, stop it. That's not what's going on here. Kimberly G says, I'm sick of shows and movies trashing men. I am too. Absolutely. Mouthful says, thanks for sharing your reasoning. It's inspiration to us to consider how social media is impacting each of us. Yeah, that's why, again, it's not me trying to say everyone needs to give up their social media. It's not me saying that everyone needs to do the things that I'm doing. It's rather hoping that, it's the main reason is to explain, hey, when my accounts disappear, here's why. And two, to maybe be able to lead others to think, hey, how is social media maybe impacting my own life? All right, we are over time, so again, I'm going to try and get through as many things as I can. Sage of Rokaseka. Speaking of kids and phones, Matt Frad over at Pines with Aquinas has started a company called Techless, which has produced their own smartphone that has no apps, email, browser, just a phone. Yeah, I've heard about them before. I've always looked into these alternative ones. The problem is that because they're specialty phones, they always cost a fortune, And so that's why, the first phone that Baby Thor gets is gonna be just a dumb phone. But not one of these specialty ones. It's gonna be one of these random flip phones that cost less than $100, where all it can do is take calls and text, and probably just text using the old TRS where you have to press the number so many times. Because I do think that there is a necessity for kids to have phones, especially when they get into high school, as they are starting to go out to events with friends, to have that as an emergency. But that's gonna be I'm very much leaning in the direction of being no smartphone as they're grown up. Giant Rat got a membership from Low Water Mark. Let us see. Yeah, a lot of bullying on Twitter. Asaj says, my brother has had his boys taken away for the last 5 months because he took his 9-year-old's phone away, who reported him to CPS that he was violent. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's awful. Sherry Allen says, that's the psychological message that I teach my family, that we need to watch out for these tools. What's good for us tends not to be good for us, like social media, unless it separates us. Exactly, right? A tool is a tool until it's not, you know? A tool is a tool until it's not. Tina, thank you so very much, man, for... Tina, thank you so very much for taking care of that bot as we do wrap things up, because we do have to wrap things up, and so that means some comments are going to have to be skipped. I do apologize for that. So chat jumped on me, so I'm going to just skim through the remaining comments, and I'll try and focus more so on the serious ones. So if you were cracking jokes or things like that, then I'll probably skip it. But again, I do appreciate your comments. Unless Sherry Allen at 806 said, especially at dinner time when we have dinner, we have no phones checked allowed, as we notice that we tend to use it. Yeah, one really cool thing that was in the Social Dilemma that we've watched is they actually had it where they had a box that had a timer on it, and you could set the timer to like an hour, and basically it would lock the box for an hour. You couldn't change the time, you couldn't speed up the time, and they would put their stuff in there. The Old Guard, thank you for being a member for 10 months, Old Guard. He decided to use his message there saying, glad to hear you're putting your mental health first and ditching social media. Other creators are also coming out saying to ditch Discord and Twitter. Yeah, again, I know a lot of people are definitely talking about various platforms, but again, for me, just to make it clear, my Discord's staying, but Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social, Minds, Gab, like the actual social accounts, those are the ones that I'm getting rid of. All right. Again, I'm trying to see. Let's see. Matt 317. I can separate art from the artist, but only if the art is near perfect. And the only way that we can know that, though, is by watching it. See, that's the thing. How can we know that the art is good unless we actually watch it? Because sometimes we can't know that. Miss Minnesota fan, 7 years of bad luck to whoever tries to remake Casablanca. Oh, a pox upon their house. More than just 7 months or 7 years of bad luck there. Anyway, so hopefully everyone has been able to find the Discord server. Again, however it is that you want to follow me in that regard. Will Gentry, been listening for a while. The best move anyone can make to take care of their own mental health, whatever's affecting you, social media, drugs, drink, take steps to control it. Good on you. Absolutely, Will Gentry. Absolutely. Right. It's going to be, it's going to be different things for different people. Right. So absolutely. He then says, by the way, hope everything else is good here. Baby Thor is going from strength to strength. Oh yeah. He's almost 2. Thank you for being here, Will Gentry. Been missing you in the chats. Thank you for being here. Matt 317. Let's see. Input latency. An hour behind the chat. Again, I do apologize if I'm skipping things. Giant Rat says, I understand your decision. I did the same decision 2 years ago. Peace, brother. Hey, God bless you. God bless you. General Wingster, if you're giving out rosaries. Hey, and I make rosaries. I have a lot of rosaries. So again, contact me through either Discord or email, and just let me know which one you want. I have images up. I'll probably have to start putting images up in the Discord, or on YouTube in the social section there, just that way people can see them. Or you just message me, and then I'll send you images of the ones that I do have. And yeah, I send those out for free. Nothing needed. No, not at all, Laura. I think I probably had skipped it because of YouTube being things. Physics Channel Kennedy, what is going on? Have you reviewed Event Horizon? No, I've not seen it yet. I have it, but I have not seen it yet. Social media is the perfect window. See that most people don't engage good faith. They aren't looking for information. They're looking for cause, discomfort, and pain, usually. Absolutely. All right. Again, sorry I have to skip comments, but I am well over time tonight. Matt went through in 7. New Atheist was partially responsible for causing me to embrace and gain a deeper understanding of the Catholic faith. I too took it for granted. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Previous comment got 6. It's super. So I just wanted to say you seem to be on the right track. Just remember, it's okay to feel what you do. Speaking from experience. So thank you very much, Super. I appreciate that. Yeah. Again, as I said, I'm fine. YouTube channel's not going anywhere. Discord still will be here. Email still open, etc. It's just Twitter, Instagram. All the actual social accounts themselves. Twitter has changed people's thinking process from facts to emotions. It's dangerous. Fact. That is absolute fact. people think with emotions and not with truth anymore. That's why going through this early philosophy is so important, I think, in the grand scheme of things for my kids. The Embracer we already talked about. That group. Sierra Production, what's going on? Using an old code phrase there. Watch one episode of Game of Thrones. Term it's not for me. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff in there that is not for a lot of people for sure. Kill the Bot says General Wingster. Absolutely. Matt Frad. Yeah, Matt Frad's a good dude. Sierra Productions, thank you for being here for a while. I appreciate. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Michael Hill, shout out to you. Let's see. Father Luca is amazing. If I missed anything and you wanted me to see it or talk about it, again, message me on the Discord server and access that. Again, check out the links in the video description. You can find my link tree. Just click on the Discord link and it'll bring you into the Discord server. And again, I'm available there for you to be able to do that. So anyway, boom. There we go. Hey, I've made it to the end. So just a little bit over time tonight. But again, I seriously want to thank every single person out there for watching this stream. And I hope that it came through and that it was understood. As I said, for those that maybe perceived it to be or came in late or heard some things out of context, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm not throwing anyone out of the bus. I'm not leaving FNT, which I think some people thought that this was. No, it's rather that because of some of the things that happened last night, because of the way in which my own brain perceived certain things, I recognized, and again, I also talked about, I would say go back to the beginning because I think I set it up really well. I say that there were influences and motivations. And so I mentioned the influences that kind of helped put my mind already in this arena. And then I talked about the motivations that led me to make the decision to just, again, quit Twitter, quit Instagram, quit Gab, quit Minds, the social medias, quit Truth as well. Discord still will be there because that's a community. And then, of course, email as well. YouTube channel will also still be around as well. So it's just, again, thank you, everybody, for being here, for supporting the channel, also for understanding. Again, for anyone that this might inconvenience you in some way, I apologize if it does inconvenience you. And just, again, just to clarify the important things, just so that way people don't, don't walk away with the wrong idea. Still an FNT. Love FNT. Love my family there. And I'm sorry if my misinterpretation of things has led to any stress in any way, because again that's one of the reasons why it's, again, straw broke camel's back for me. So again, love my FNT family. Cannot wait for this next next week's episode, especially since we're not going to be dealing with a setup where the ability to have us join in at different times for whatever reasons we have won't be a problem. So excited for that. Still creating YouTube channel, still going to be live. So my next live stream will be Tuesday. And yeah, if you do follow me on any of those social platforms though, do try to find the Discord. I'm gonna try and post the link to the Discord if I can on those socials before actually, peace outing. But do check those out, so that way you can, keep up with me. And again, Discord server is a great place. Because you get notified whenever I go live. You get notified whenever there's new video. So if that's what you used any of my socials for, hey, you can get that in the Discord server as well. But anyway, email me also. There's the full email, ozenmovieblog@gmail.com. If that didn't make any sense to you, if you email me, odin@ombreviews.com, it'll auto forward to the right email and I'll get that one as well. So odin@ombreviews.com also works. Check out the link tree. I will again have Heimdall post that link, the Willow link as I like to call it because of the way it's spelled. So please make sure that you do that. There it is, access to all of the links there. So that'll bring you, just click on the Discord icon and that'll bring you into my Discord server. And yeah, anyway, thank you again for everyone on Odyssey, everyone on DLive, for Daniel Thorne specifically on DLive, because I think he was the only one there. For everyone on YouTube, we had a lot of people here tonight. Again, massive amount of people here. Thank you again very much. And hopefully all this made sense. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And as always, God bless.
now for a huge shout out to all of my Keeper of the Bifrost and Chosen of Valhalla members over on Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals. Starting off with my Patreon supporters, we got Chris from the 80s, who you can check out on YouTube, Garrett Searles, Heimir Irie Hymason, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, The Modern Major General Story, Father Luca Illick, Orange Hat Reviews, who you can also check out on YouTube, Rosetta Allen, whose YouTube channel's name is Eagle Rider, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel, and the Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out on her show that she does with the amazing Stephanie B, my Valkyrie, on a show called Soup to Nuts on Tina B's channel. Also to my Subscribestar peeps, we got Matt317, who you can support over on Twitch, same name, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, The Beer Guru, and ZK-Man, who you can support over at xtheboundaries.co. And lastly, to my Locals members, we got Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, How About a Hockey Player? We have UAB Mad Dog Mike Jackson for the win, Brett D90, and Robert Barnes, who most people should know about at this point, so go support him over at InfoWars, YouTube, and all the other locations that he is at. But if you want your name shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, check out that top link in the video description. Finds out all the places that you can follow me on social media, and also all the various platforms that you can support the channel, which include not only shoutouts, but also access to giveaways of 4K titles, Blu-rays, tons of other stuff like that, digital codes, and then also a way to get access to being featured on the channel once a month for the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we're talking about movies, pop culture, and pretty much anything the Chosen want to talk about. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out the video description. There's also access to a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pig Flickinger once or twice a month. And don't worry if you were wondering where the July episode is, because of scheduling conflicts, especially with John, we were not able to get that done, but we will have 2 episodes this month to make up for it, so don't you worry about that. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.